lot of people are like, it's going through difficult times, you must need a drink. It's like, no, this is exactly the time I don't need a drink right now. Like, this is actually the time I need to be at my best. Like I can't have any distractions. My family needs me, my team needs me. So instead of bad vices, it's like healthy, things. Like, for some reason, exercise helps me stay positive. Spending time with family, my kids, my boys, that gives me so much positivity when I just see them smiling and healthy and just running around playing sports with them. Like, every year, for 16 years, our income has gone up every single year. It's kind of easy to be with me, But last year really tested, like, who wants to lose with me? And I found those are the ones I want to win with. It gave me the opportunity to be positive. And also, I talked about, strategizing. The darkest times, you actually find the brightest ideas. And then you start building on from that. And then you find an opportunity and you're like, you know what, I can get excited about this because this is something I never would have thought of.
Welcome to another episode of the A1 Experience. You guys are in for a treat today. I've got my good friend, Mr. Dan Kitajima. What's up, Dan?
How you doing, Nick? Thanks for having me.
Man, I'm so grateful that you're here, man. It's awesome to see you and to connect with you. I was at your office a couple months ago, and that was an awesome experience. But if you guys don't know Dan Kitajima in the insurance industry, you're probably living under a rock. Dan is one of the top insurance agencies in the country for Farmers Insurance. He has over 25 team members. They're putting up a massive $600K in premium monthly. The goal is $1 million. I think it's coming soon. He's here in Vegas speaking to 800 or over 1,000 farmers agents for the what conference?
Embrace Conference.
Embrace Conference. You guys need to check out his YouTube channel. I think it's one of the most underrated YouTube channels that drops an insane amount of value if you're in the insurance industry. And I admire this man's leadership and work ethic like no other. So welcome, brother.
No, thanks again for having me, Nick. So yeah, first thing first, I flew to Vegas this morning. Very first stop was here, man, just to connect with you because you're doing great things in the insurance industry as far as, dropping content and just creating teams. So you're someone I also look up to too. So I'm great we could connect here and check out your office. Amazing stuff you're doing here, man.
I'm trying to get like you. So so for my audience that doesn't know who you are, let them know, who's Dan Kitajima?
Yeah, insurance agency owner for 17 years. Office is in Orange, California. And that's pretty much all I've done ever since college. I sold insurance. Did that for 3 years at a corporate office, direct sales, call center type of environment. And I said, hey, let me do my own thing. Started my own agency. 17 years later, doing the same thing, still trying to grow, loving the business, especially all the people I met, like you. It's just a great business to be in. I'm really thankful for all the experience. And it's been a challenging year last year, but we're still here.
Yeah. You've gone through some adversity. We'll talk about some of that. Let's just go right into that. The last couple of years, ever since 2020, California has been one of the most affected, if not the most affected state in our industry. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, sure. Well, first we had a product that we wrote auto insurance with that shut down. So we were writing about $350K of that every month. So a week before it shut down, and that same week we're moving to a new office, 6,000 square feet and $20,000 a month, 7-year lease. I'm like, I'm gonna go big. I had like these grand vision. And the week before we moved in December 2022, they're like, okay, we're shutting this down. A week of heads up. So I was like, okay, well, that's not good. But then they're also said we're gonna non-renew the book. And they go, okay, what part of the book? Which drivers, like, what kind of drivers? No, the whole book. So that was a 30% of my book of business, 5,000 policies.
Gone. Dano snap.
Well, in a span of 6 months.
Okay.
There's 6 months policies.
So a delayed Dano snap.
800 policies a month.
Oh my God.
Non-renewed. And then other stuff too, like I've gone through, just to be transparent with you, gone through audits, investigations, and contract in jeopardy. I'm still a farmer's agent, and I'm very grateful. But that was a very scary time. 4 months of that, not knowing what's going to happen, sleepless nights, and then. One of the things about this business that I've grown my business is really by trying to care about my staff members. One of my staff members in September, because I get it, you're on commission, then you really rely on being able to sell, when you're a producer. And my second to top agent, um, she was making 100K every year, and she couldn't really sell at my agency. Trying to figure things out, but she left to go to independent agency.
Okay.
She's been with me 7 years, and I think they had got like a pyramid scheme going on over there because she recruited 4 of my other staff
Oh,
members away.
wow.
That was 20 years of experience, all gone in a month. So that was kind of how my year went last year, Nick. But I learned a lot from all that, and I'm really, believe it or not, grateful for the experience.
Wow. I mean, like, you got to be bulletproof at this point. I have heard stories of people losing staff and then them, taking staff with them. It hasn't happened to me, but my guard's always up. It's like, I don't know about you, but every day I wake up, I'm like, someone's either going to leave or quit or get fired. Like, something is going to happen today. It's just like, especially when things are going too good, I'm like, things are too good. My guard's up, like, just in case
Yeah.
I got to pivot or, just be ready. But wow. So that's some crazy stuff.
It's good that you're paranoid like that too, because that will help you be a better leader. Sometimes always wondering like, hey, what is it that my team needs right now, or what could go wrong, or what could be any reason. So yeah, that's a good sign of a leader that you don't want to be always thinking negative. You can balance that with optimism, but it is always good to worry and save money too. That's one thing I learned is saving money is really important because man, there are some financial difficult months. One of the things that changed was the compensation plan. So a monthly bonus that was 50 to 60K of revenue for us, and just like that, that was gone. So being able to weather the storm by having financial difficult months and trying to keep everybody I can still, I'm glad that I didn't buy a Lambo in 2022.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking about it.
It's funny though, because really like 1.5, maybe 2 staff, like we can have a Lambo.
Yeah,
when you really like break it down, like if just one employee usually is like
The cost.
the cost of having a Ferrari. For me, I want a Ferrari, and so I like to tell my team like, look, I could have a Ferrari or I could have you. I choose to have you because I'm invested. Like I'm making, I want to keep growing this agency to create opportunities, and so. And just know that it's been a lifelong dream to have a Ferrari, so I'm choosing you.
Man, that's powerful. That should guilt him into working harder.
Yeah. I feel like if you were in any other state
Mhm.
besides California, you would be like untouchable because of California. Because like I'm pretty sure farmers hasn't been affected as drastically in like Nevada or Texas, right? I'm
Mhm.
sure they have their own difficulties, but it's not like what's been happening in California. So, whatever. I guess that's just my opinion. Like, if you were in any other state, you'd be probably the largest farmers agency. Like, you'd be writing the most, and it wouldn't even be close. But what I guess you've always lived in California. Have you ever thought about diversifying? Like for me, an opportunity to open up in Oregon came up, and I jumped on it. Have you thought about opening in a different state? Or the good thing about Cali is there's just like how many 35 million people or something like that. It's just huge. But
Yeah, the thing with farmers too is that they started in LA, so
okay, I know
they're
that.
a West Coast company and they went eastward. So majority of the book of business, they're really strong. Well, not strong but they're really invested in California. So I did think about that, and I have tried different states, but one of the things that's happening is that our duty is to take care of our clients our best we can. And we have these one-pay conversions and renewal contingencies, and we got to get pictures for cars and homes for existing clients. So it was very difficult for me to get thinking offensive. Last year was like, let me just try to save my book of business. Let me just hire staff like crazy just to do the customer service because I couldn't really think, okay, I'm going to go offensive and start buying leads in other states when we weren't even answering the phone calls from our existing clients. So I was like, let's get to the basics here. When our client calls, let's answer the phone call. Let's let them know we need pictures or your policy is going to get non-renewed. So with that much activity necessary for running my book of business, I couldn't really think of expansion, But that's a great point, and I think that's something I want to look into. But one of the things that's good about being a master at your niche or your territory is that other people aren't going to come into California.
True.
It's like my moat, like I
Yeah.
know the business. I know how difficult it is, and no one's going to dare to try to come in here because it just takes so much resiliency and patience and know-how, and just like any other state too, like there's always going to be rules, and I'm always, because when insurance companies have profitability issues and their underwriting tightens and also their compliance does too. So I don't want to go into a different state not really knowing what I'm doing and messing something up, so
Yeah.
it was so much going on in California as it is that I've decided to kind of really focus on taking care of my book of business and writing what I can there.
Insurance agents, what is every agency's highest closing lead source without fail? Personal referrals. What if I told you I could help you turbocharge the frequency in which you got personal referrals? In the last 5 years, I've written over 5,000 items and $3.5 million in premium from inbound organic sources, and it cost me nothing. How? Because posting on social media is free. If you want to turn your agency into a referral machine, then go to nicksaka.com/creators and sign up for the Insurance Creators Mastermind, where me and my team will meet with you and your team twice a month to help you with something that no other agency is doing. Imagine having the guidance, the ideas, the trends, and the strategies that actually work in converting more business for your agency. Go to nicksaka.com/creators for more. Now, back to the show. What's your staff breakdown? You got about roughly 25. What's the managers? What are the positions? And what's the breakdown?
So we have agency manager. Okay, that used to be my job for the longest time. So
Mhm.
just last year, I hired somebody. It's funny because insurance agents, they hate giving up that sales role in the beginning. And last year, I was the one not wanting to give up the managerial role. And I still manage, obviously, but that's another big step that I did. So from having no managers, like I was overseeing like 20 people, and I was just spread too thin. I wasn't a good manager. Like I wouldn't even know their kids' names. Like I wouldn't know anything about them, So I hired an agency manager. She does our reviews now. She does, the HR stuff, and that's been a huge deal. Customer service manager and compliance manager.
Okay.
Compliance manager is super important because just the climate we were in and just checking if every single picture is received, every single signature is signed. Customer service manager is also important too, obviously. And then about 18.
Were those managers promoted from within?
Mhm, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, all of them.
Okay.
Yeah. Over 10 years, 7 compliance managers, most detail oriented. I know her as the most ethical person in our office. Customer service, still rather new, but experienced in the industry. And then about 17 to 18 licensed agents. Okay. Not all of them do just sales because there's so much customer service we need to do.
Yeah.
We have about 4 or 5 team members that are newer to the industry. So they're strictly customer service, some marketing, but their goal is to definitely get licensed and move into customer service that does sales. And then if you're really good at sales, then you're doing mostly or all sales.
Yeah. What what percentage of your business? So 17. You said 17 to 18 licensed sales.
Mm-hmm.
What percentage of them are? I guess are they all hybrids then? They're all handling a little bit of both.
I would
Service
say
and sales.
10 of them are doing just mostly all sales. I mean, if they get a text message or email from a client, then they can send it to somebody, or sometimes they like
Right.
taking care of them and then see if they can get a life insurance out of it. So they do some customer service. It's like kind of like their choice.
Mhm.
Like, hey, if you get a customer service situation, but they don't answer calls or anything like that.
Gotcha.
But if they're existing clients, call and need help from them, then some of them take care of them, no problem. They rather do it, but some of them, they have the ability to just send it to customer service.
Got it. I'm in a situation now where I've got about 8 full salespeople, 6 to 7 service team members, and one of them's a manager, and 3 telemarketers. But I'm starting to be more and more open to that inside sales flow that Jeremy Olson preaches, and so I'm looking into that because I think you're right. We're dropping some calls right now, and I hate it. I hate when we get voicemails. It's like this should not be happening, and so I think it's some days are better than others, but it's something I'm trying to navigate right now to figure out how we can, make sure our customers are being taken care of, but also cross-selling opportunities and things like that. So, yeah, I like that flow. Let me ask you, where I wanted to go with that question is, you're one of the I don't know what the ratio is. I know a lot of agencies are going like fully remote or being open to remote. You are just like me in the sense that I still prefer the in-office environment. You know, after 2020, a lot of things changed. People became more flexible. I am flexible for remote, but just watching you on YouTube and stuff like that, you have you've got a fully engaged, everyone's coming in. Do you have remote staff or no?
I do some, yeah, but most of the office is that everybody's in house. Well, first of all, it's because I signed a 7-year lease and it's rented 6,000 square feet, so
Nice office to go
I'm
to
gonna
though.
have to,
It's like you got views, you know.
not change my strategy too much. But I definitely don't have anything against remote because of California, wages and things like that, taxes. So I think that's definitely a big part of the strategy moving forward.
Okay, so you're gonna be flexible with that.
I
Offer it.
yeah, I will.
Or will you allow them to start remote, or it's more like you got to start in office? Because that's what I'm doing right now. It's like you got to start in office, and then you can go remote if you'd like.
Well, one of the good things about remote is that you could hire from anywhere. So if I were to go remote, I think, and I do have some, is really expand where the hiring pool is from, and then they'll probably be doing things that it wouldn't be as like telemarketing, or CRM, or just sending content and chopping it up, things like that. But the real, and maybe sales too. So I'm not really an expert at this, category, but I definitely feel like it's the way to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. I want you to talk about your team meetings. Something that I love about your some of the videos you post are the team meetings, the things that you highlight, the recognition, the trophies. Do they keep those trophies every single month, or is it kind of like gets pulled back into a pool and then you give it? I've always wondered that.
Yeah. Well, the yearly ones that they keep. Some of them, the bigger ones, they keep.
The monthly ones, though.
The monthly ones, no, it rotates.
Okay.
So I'm like, let me pull it away from you if you fall out of the top three.
I'm like, 'cause these desks only have so much space, So I was wondering if somebody just has like, 2 dozen, just chilling on their desk. But how did you come up with such a dynamic team meeting? I think that's one of the things I admire about your agency.
Well, thanks, Nick. Yeah, I think team meetings are great because it's really hard to talk to each person individual one on one, and I think it's also feels good to be recognized in front of your peers too. So as a competitor, I understand that even though we're on the same team, there's still competition, and there's people that staff members that perform at a higher level. So if they're doing a great job, it's free for me to say great job and get trophies, and I just really appreciate them. So it's just an opportunity for me to show them that I do care about them and I do see what they're doing. We track everything, how many text messages sent, how many phone calls you taken, how many phone calls you made, phone hours. We have a category for every little thing, and we send that all the time too. But the monthly contest is just a way for us to say, hey, we know what you're doing, and there's a way for everyone, even if you're customer service, how many hours you worked, what your attendance percentage, to recognize, and everybody has a chance to win at least one category.
Mm.
And then, our job is to make them believe in themselves, and really motivate them. It's like they gave us the responsibility to be their leaders for the financial future. So I don't take that lightly. I think one of the biggest things is that sometimes it's just a belief mindset, and they're so much capable of more. So I just tell them, hey, I believe in you guys. And I'll give them some, tactical things too, like, hey, here's how to overcome adversity, depending on what we're going through. But most of last year was like how to overcome adversity. That's kind of like, but we have all kinds of stuff like that happen to all of us, losing family members or health scares, financial difficulties, or just toxic relationships, just all kinds of stuff happen in life. So I want to bring value to them and help them, try their best to.
They respond pretty well because I take a lot of value from just the life stuff, the life and kind of overcoming obstacles. And it's funny because I feel like you're not even speaking to them; you're speaking like with them. It's like, look, I'm going through this with you guys, and you guys might be going through it in a different form. But I like how you speak from I don't got this all figured out, but this is what I'm learning recently. Maybe it might help you guys.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think it's a great opportunity for me to let them see my perspective, because I'll tell them like, hey, I lost this much money last month, or like, hey, like this is what's happening with the commissions, and like this is what I'm going through. Like I'm working my butt off, but at the end of the month, my bank account's going down, and then they'll be like, okay, well, um, they'll they won't be asking for a raise, or they're like, okay, this is not really the winning season, but we're preparing for the winning season. This is like the stage of the business, so I think it's a great opportunity for all of us to be on the same page and also understand what I'm trying to do for them and what the timeline is and things like that. So it's really difficult for the whole team to understand my perspective. So it helps me. I try to do that
Do
too.
they respond pretty well to it? This is my first question.
Mhm.
And do you ever notice like if someone's in the meeting and maybe they got their arms crossed and they're just kind of just like, oh, it's whatever, like shut up, Dan. Like does that kind of indicate to you like, all right, this person's like, I got to get this person out of here?
I've had that happen before.
Yep. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Or they've taken it personal. Very rarely though. But I do feel like it does make a difference. Like I've had some talks certain months where I've seen a definitely a uptick in motivation or attitude change.
Mm.
Some people have cried, some people have really like said that, hey, give me great feedback, and our numbers sometimes show it too. Like sometimes at the end of the month or the beginning of the month, I'll do it for the results. It's not that great, then I feel like maybe the numbers won't be that great that
Yeah.
month. So at first, I didn't see it impacting that much, but that all depends on what we are able to deliver. So the better I get at it, I feel like, and that takes months and months because I've been doing it for a while, I feel like it is making more of a difference. In the beginning, I'm like, what am I doing this for? They're not even listening,
Yeah.
but I think it does make a bigger difference. And they start kind of looking forward to it, and they want to be recognized too. So there's that component too. So we kind of try to make it a big deal out of our agency, and yeah, I think it does make definitely a difference.
Yeah. So I want to know, you're one of the most driven people that I know. I want to know where that comes from.
That's it's kind of like I think it's part of my parents, part of my dad. It's probably a DNA thing too, to be honest with you. Some people, I think it's something you're born with, maybe,
Hmm.
but it's also something you just see what your parents do, and you grab that from them. My dad's a immigrant, and he came here and he was a gardener and he started his own business, and his work ethic is just incredible. So discipline and everything like that too. So I think a lot of it is what you caught growing up, nothing that you were taught. You just saw it, and you just kind of don't know any other way.
Hmm.
So it's not something I contemplate really. It could be a gift and a curse too, but it's just kind of it is what it is. Like I don't think of it like subjectively. It's like that's just how it is. Like I just have to like do something. I try to be productive. I just have to try to help someone. Like I can't just chill and relax,
Yeah. I have a hard time.
which I should more.
I have a hard time chilling and relaxing. The way I'm wired, it's like even if I go to a basketball game or if I go to a football game or I went to a Tony Robbins conference one time and I spent maybe $1,500 to go, and then I just can't go there and enjoy it and just take something from it. My mind is like, all right, so he's selling apparel right there. He's selling vitamins and supplements right there. At the end of this thing, he's upselling his next program. So I'm like, my mind is like constantly working. And so I don't know if you're at basketball games. I know you love the Clippers or the Clippers, right?
Yep, yep.
Yep. And you're there like, like $15 for this beer, or like, man, and
Yeah.
so like, I don't know. That's just the way my mind works. And sometimes I feel guilty. Like if I go to a Chargers game, huge Chargers fan, and they lose, I'm like, they didn't deserve my money. Like, what a waste of time, energy. I'm hungover now. Like, this is so stupid, and I don't know. I just sometimes, sometimes I'm wired just to kind of just reverse engineer everything that's going on and just kind of like figure out, okay, how do they make a business out of this and stuff like that. I don't know if you're the same way.
No, yeah, yeah. It's fun to look at numbers and start adding things up.
So, when hiring people, what's one thing that you specifically find in the people that you're interviewing that usually means they're going to be a good person, like, or a good person for your team? Like, what's something consistently that it's like, I look for that?
Oh, great question. I've been letting my staff really do the recruiting right now, but at the end of the day, I just try to see, it's really hard to tell. It's still a guessing game, really.
Yeah.
You really don't know. But, if they fit our three core values, at our agency is if you're a hard worker, really can't tell that from an interview, but you can kind of see off experience references if you're a hard worker or not. If you're a nice, kind person, so we like to hire people that people have known, referrals. We're really big on that. And no one's really going to refer somebody if they're not a nice person, if they're mean or so kindness is really important to me. And then positivity too. So ask some questions about like, hey, with this situation, how do you look at this situation? And see if they have like a positive outlook generally or negative outlook in generally. And then also they have to be smart enough to comprehend stuff and learn the business. So that part you just never know. So sometimes we feel like a lot of things worked, but that part didn't. But most of the time, it doesn't. You don't have to be that smart to be able to be good at customer service or insurance sales. So yeah, it's just kind of like intuition. Like, hey, do I feel like this person is going to be a hard worker? But I really, really like hiring people that your existing staff members know.
Yeah. It's hard. Sometimes it's hard for me. I've offered money to my staff. I've offered all sorts of things, and still sometimes it's hard to get those referrals. But you're right. They flock together, just like referrals for customers, right? It's like we want people just like you. You're a homeowner.
Yeah, one of the things I did last year because I had a huge recruiting situation, like I had to really ramp that up. So one of the things I did is I tied in. Well, I used to do $1,000 bonuses. If you refer somebody, I'll pay you $1,000 one time. But I've actually tied it into my comp plan where they get actually, if they're in sales, a percentage or even higher for referring somebody. So that's not only just like a one-time thing. It's like, well, especially if you're a high performer, that 1% could make a huge difference over months and months.
Wow. That's interesting.
I got that from a pyramid scheme company.
Wow. So
and that really motivated them to find people because that affects their pay, forever.
that is crazy. I've never thought about that.
Something to consider maybe.
Do they need to hit certain minimums, the new people, or it's just off top? Like they just get a percentage of their sales?
Yeah, as long as they're working there, the person they referred is there. And that also invests them to kind of like make sure they're okay. They train them and make sure they fit in because it's in their best interest for them to stay too.
Is that the same for managers? Like if your managers were to refer somebody or just...
Well, the managers don't really make commission. So, but mostly the sales agents, because
Wow.
sales agents, and then I've got a lot of luck with that because one person referred one person, this person referred two, and then the other person referred one. So that's kind of how I really helped my agency last year.
Wow, because if I was an employee, I would be hunting for people. That is crazy. Wow, I'm mind blown. That is a gem, y'all. Like you guys better implement that if you're looking for people. There's a question. You talked about your dad. He's from Japan, correct?
Mm-hmm.
I recently went to Japan.
That's right.
Fell in love with the place. I mean, the place is just probably my favorite country I've ever been. That and Greece. Greece is only because I proposed there, so there's sentimental value. But if it's like you remove like I proposed there, me and my wife, my fiance at the time had the best experience ever, like it's probably Japan. What I want to know is Japan has so many like values and traditions, and they run so effectively, and the people are amazing, and it's just very efficient. Have you implemented any sort of values from Japanese tradition or principles or standards into your business?
Wow. Well, first of all, thanks for saying great things about my country where my ancestors are from. That means a lot. Yeah, and I have a lot of pride, from my family being from there. Yeah, I think some of the things is discipline. I think Japanese people in general are disciplined. They have honor and they're honest. So some of those things I think help in business. I mean, they're actually must in business. And then efficiency, team culture. Those are things I try to. Not that I'm saying like we have those things down, but there's definitely influences from how I see Japanese people operate or how they work in a team or in businesses. Like the respect factor is really big. So sometimes I kind of like expect a little bit more of that from my team members than others. Just proper greeting, how to talk to clients. In every language, there's right way to say things, the more proper way. So I kind of lean towards that way too. So I never really thought of that, but
Something that sticks out to me is that word kaizen,
mm-hmm,
the constant improvement, never-ending improvement.
mm-hmm,
And that's a Japanese term,
mm-hmm,
and so that's as I thought about that, I was like, I know you love baseball, and maybe not baseball, but the pitcher for the Dodgers,
mm-hmm. Otani,
and
yep.
just it's so cool. Japanese culture is so cool, like the way that they clean the stadiums afterwards, they clean the locker rooms, they leave it like better than they found it. It's like I gotta be honest with you. When we came back to America, we're like, this place is a dump, like this is like what is going on here? And so I'm talking to one of my best friends yesterday, and we're talking about like how California is they're gonna remove TSA pre-check because it's like it's creating separation between like making people that don't have it feel like less. So it's like I guess it's racist to have like TSA pre-check in California, so they're working to ban it.
Hmm.
I'm like, that is the most ridiculous thing. And my buddies were talking. We're like, I think what they're trying to do with California is they're testing it in California to see if they can, move it into the rest of the country, and see if it works. And it's not working too well in California, so hopefully that doesn't happen, right? But uh, my buddy's like, yeah, if America becomes more like California, I'm moving to Japan. and and I'm like, really? Like he's like, yeah. I'm packing up. I'm gonna get my $6 ramen, and and just live my best life out there. But and I'm kind of going off on a side tangent there,
No,
but
yeah, a lot of other things too. I was just thinking about, yeah, cleanliness is important, but also just what was I gonna say? Courtesy, crime is the lowest, and people live the longest too. So health conscious, those type of things too. So yeah, but if people are gonna use California testings, then it's a good sign because things aren't really working. So
hopefully it doesn't. Um, so we kind of talked about, is it safe to say that the adversity you've recently gone through is the toughest part of your agency ownership journey?
yeah,
Just the losing that part of your book of business, losing your losing one of your top dogs, and then taking some of the team members with them. Is that the hardest part of your journey?
yeah, and the audit too. That was really scary too. So much uncertainty there. Um, yeah, the most difficult. But if you think about it, the beginning is pretty difficult too. If you remember,
Oh yeah.
just surviving and not knowing if you're gonna make it. So I think after you get over the first 5 years, it gets easier. But then, boom, it never really gets easier. But I believe it's gonna make us stronger. I found out what I'm made of. My work ethic and my discipline actually took another gear. I cut out all the bad vices and really got into a deep place where I had to figure something out. I had to plan, I had to strategize. And some of the best ideas were born during those moments. Like moments, like things that would change my agency forever. I wouldn't have probably thought about everything that I did if everything was just fine. So I feel like last year I was able to build like a wider foundation, like customer service and managerial and compliance and recruiting. I forced me, like I had no choice. So now that I have a wider foundation, even though I took a big hit on my book of business, I feel like now I'm able to build something bigger than before because of what I went through.
You've traveled a lot more, I've noticed, because if you follow Dan Kitajima, you see his daily routine. It's like what he's up to. It's like he's in the grind. It's like gym work, like first one at the office. Beating the staff to the office. Staying late, the Saturdays, the massive preparation that you are constantly doing. I've seen you travel a little bit more, take that time with your, with family. And what has that done for your agency? Like, what's one of the best ideas that you came up with while, during your sabbatical in Hawaii, right? Like, or I think you went to Colombia. Like, what are some of the best ideas that have come from that?
Yeah, a lot of good things. Not only ideas, but I think it really helps my staff kind of like get more responsibility. Like they got to figure things out on their own. So they're a little less reliant on me. So I think it more than anything, it kind of like helps them grow actually. The funny thing is like if you're always there, like holding their hands, like you're always asking for questions, like hard things, like what should I do in the situation? Like it's kind of like, well, that's your job, so please figure it out. Especially if I'm not there, it really helped them grow a little more as leaders. So I think that was one of the best benefits of stepping away. Another one is like just looking at the agency from a big picture. Sometimes when you're in it, you don't really see the big picture. So when I step away and it gets really small and I look at it from a far distance, then I'm a lot better at thinking of big picture things like what are those things that we need to do. And one of the best things that I came up with is like it's just the basics. Like if the client calls, do we answer? If you get a lead, how fast do we call them? Just like the most basic things.
Right, right. It's
Some,
not.
sometimes when you're in the office, you're thinking of these like evolution, like revolutionary stuff. But it's just like it's just small steps. Like evolution is the way to do it. Like we got a lot of stuff working for us. We just have to tweak things and make things better, and like just like change this person's job duty a little bit, or like CRM, just change this wording a little bit here to change the timing. It's just real small stuff. So, but really, it just came down to hey, what kind of systems we have in place for life insurance, like just tweaking things, but taking care of our customers, number one, and then how fast do we call our leads? Like how responsive are we when people want quotes?
Mm.
Those are as basic as it sounds. Like that's kind of what I figured out is it's just the fundamentals.
Right. You're here in Vegas, getting ready to speak in front of, 1,000 agents. What's your message to them?
Really, just it's all about attitude. I've been through some shit last year, but the only thing that helped me, I think if I would have had a bad attitude, like they would have got rid of me. It was almost like a test. Like we really don't want the production right now. How are you gonna respond? So I just took accountability. Like, hey, like I didn't know that was a big deal, but we messed up there. We're gonna learn from it. We're gonna grow from it. I didn't get any lawyers, or I didn't, refuse to sign anything. I just said, hey, I take that. It's like you want us to do things differently, then we'll learn. Well, I got a compliance manager. I just try to have as little ego as possible because we really compared to everything that's going on, we're in the big scheme. Our production is nothing. In fact, we probably don't want that much production. So I just said, hey, just have a good attitude because it's free. My message to them is like, it's like, why not? It's like we don't have to pay for it. We don't have to take a course on it. We don't have to, you know, go to training on it. It's just like let's just have a good attitude because having a bad attitude, man, it would have cost me my business last year.
Yeah.
I feel like it. Like I don't think I would have been here.
It's easier said than done, though, because sometimes I've had a rough last week and a half. Probably the roughest, like, little stretch of like 8 days that I've had in a long
Oh
time.
yeah.
And I know it's perspective because in the bigger picture, it's like I'm healthy. Everyone I love is in good health. We woke up today.
Mm-hmm.
It's like worth
Congratulations on everything that's going on in your personal life too.
Yeah.
Getting married and stuff. And,
Thank you.
one of the way.
But this, like, while you're in it, it is not easy to keep that good attitude. Like, we can do things that help, like working out. I go to the gym. I sit in freezing 40-degree water. That's like a weird way to like change your mindset to be in a good mood. Cold plunging, sauna, sitting in a sauna for like 10 minutes. But while you're in it, you can do all these things and still be like, freak, like, what is going on? Like, who's in charge of the story right now? Like, this isn't cool.
I feel you.
It's easier said than done. What are some of the things that you did to keep a good attitude?
I think exercise is a big one. You mentioned it, but that was my best therapy. You know, even being stricter. It's like funny. Like a lot of people are like, "It's going through difficult times. You must need a drink." It's like, no, this is exactly the time I don't need a drink right now. Like this is actually the time that I need to be at my best.
Deep.
Like I can't have any distractions. My family needs me. My team needs me. So instead of bad vices, it's like healthy. Things like for some reason exercise helps me stay positive. Spending time with family. My kids, my boys. That gives me so much positivity when I just see them smiling and healthy and just running around playing sports with them. And then just kind of like appreciating who I have. I think last year I found out for my staff members wise, like I found out who wants to lose with me.
Mm.
Like every year, for 16 years, our income has gone up every single year. It's kind of easy to be with me. But last year really tested like who wants to lose with me,
Mm.
and I found those are the ones I want to win with. So it gave me the opportunity to be positive, and also I talked about strategizing. Man, at the darkest moments, you really look deeply, you find opportunities, and then you find like this angle here, and then you start building on from that, and then you find an opportunity and you're like, you know what, I could get excited about this because this is something I never would have thought of. So the darkest times you actually find the brightest ideas. It's weird because you're forced to.
Yeah.
You have no choice. You're back against the wall. So and those type of ways are where I stay positive.
Yeah, that's really good stuff, man. Well, I acknowledge you for all the adversity you've gone through. You're looking at it in a very positive light, and I think that there's a lesson in that. Just the attitude itself. So I think your story is going to be powerful, and hopefully a lot of agents are able to connect with it because if they're either overcoming some adversity or they're about to face some adversity. It's really this business. It's one or the other, right? And
Yeah, that's so true.
it's one or the other. So here's a one question, and then we'll wrap. Or a couple more questions. Was there a lesson in losing one of your top producers? Was there a lesson as far as maybe something you could have done better, or was that kind of like out of your control?
Yeah.
And the people that that left with that person, because I think this is a common thing amongst agency owners.
Yeah.
People will leave, and then sometimes they'll take some staff with them.
I think one of the biggest things I've changed last year is comp plan. Comp plan is something that we should be spending a lot more time thinking about and talking about. One of the things that didn't work out in my favor is that my comp plan was very performance oriented, so the base was very low.
Okay.
But then the percentage was higher, so that gave them the opportunity to make a lot of money when things are good.
Mm.
But when things are bad for them, the base is low, then their guarantee is lower. And I think me and you, we don't have a base. Like we're used to, like we'd rather have the high upside potential, but not the people that, are employees. So I think what I could have done, or I should have done faster probably, is increase the base. So worst case scenario, don't worry, at least make this much, and then lower the base so the upside you're taking away the upside potential, but then you're giving more of a safety net, which a lot of times staff members kind of value that more.
Mm. Yeah.
So
and it takes maybe a conversation to find that.
Yeah,
But
yeah, but I think the big mistake is us thinking like they're motivated like we are. So I think I would have done that.
even somebody that's as high as a producer as maybe some of those team members were.
Yeah, maybe just having a draw. Even if I didn't change anything, hey, worst case scenario, you won't make less than this much. Let's just weather through the storm here. Other,
Yes, because we don't think about that. If they go from making this much and then conditions happen and then they're writing this much, it affects them more than we think.
yeah.
I'm kind of in that storm right now with Nevada. So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, just giving them a safety net. And then even though it costs more money, but at the same time, it exposed them too. Their true character at the same time. And I think there's financial difficulties. I don't really say I don't have any negative thoughts about them. I mean, they did recruit teammates, so I go back and forth on that.
I guess when you look at the bright side, I've helped people that maybe they worked for my agency. Like if you worked for my agency for at least a year, maybe 2 years, no matter how you left, I'm actually still grateful for that person. Oddly enough, I'm still willing to help that person if they were to reach out. And I've done that. And it's kind of weird because it's like, this person doesn't deserve my help, But I look at it as, you know what? If somebody gave me 2 years of their commitment, like for those 2 years, like I'm grateful for that.
Yeah, they contribute to your growth, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the same way I look at it. 7 years of hard work, a lot of production, a lot of our clients still with us. So that's a great way of looking at it.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. This is my second to last question, which is agency owners tend to get lazy, myself included, right? Where, and I don't think I'm lazy. I'm just overly ambitious. So I'm like creating other things and I'm building the YouTube channel. I'm creating another business which I'll be launching soon. And it for me, and then also I'm getting ready to have a kid. I'm not the first one at the office, right? So when I see you doing it, I'm like, man, respect. Like, Dan, like you have more work ethic than me. I admit that, and I honor you for that because just your discipline. And maybe I'll get there. But agency owners specifically, we build this agency. You start getting some renewals and whatnot, and then they stop doing the things that maybe they're coming in early. What do you think? How do you think that impacts your agency, and why do you continue to show up in that way when you probably don't even have to?
Well, last year I definitely had to. It's a habit. A big part of it is a habit, but I think I get more done during those first 2 hours before everybody shows up than I do the rest of the 10. When
Mm,
I'm just like getting pulled away from staff or not really clients that much, but like issues with this or that or like emails and like just so much stuff happening during the day. I need that quiet time to really strategize.
mm,
So that time is so valuable for me, and that's really where the breakthroughs have happened. Doesn't happen every morning, but if I were to write something, or if I were to write something important, or I just think like what is going to really move the needle today, what I'm going to do, strategize for the rest of the day, and plan. So that time of day, if I were to try to not work as much, I will still keep those 2 hours and then take the rest of the day off because those 2 hours is just so much more. I get there's more return from those 2 hours than the
mhm.
rest of the 10 hours.
Wow.
So I will. That's probably something I will. I started doing that on the weekends because it's quiet. I was like, oh, this is cool. Like no one's bothering me. I can actually like get stuff done.
Yeah.
So now I was like, I want to try to do this more. So in fact, I probably even I never do this, but I could see how some agency owners may want to even close their doors so they could really start thinking about it. But the emails start coming in after like eight
Yeah.
o'clock, so it gets really hard to focus. Um, but yeah, that's Did I answer your question? I think
Yeah. 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 No,
yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
Absolutely. Um, what's the what's Dan's goal? What's Dan's you know, what would you consider a successful agency journey, maybe 20 years from now? What does that look like to you?
Yeah. Well, um,
Is it like a book size, a team size? I know there's
mhm,
clearly like there's impact,
mhm,
with that. So it's easy to kind of just say like, yeah, for 50 million or 100 million.
mhm,
We know that the impact that has had on the 25 team members that you have right now and the community, right?
mhm.
They're getting, you're helping your community. Um, but what does that look like, I guess?
Yeah, that's a good question. I always had this number, but that number is gonna move. I know, So it's like for now, right now, just in revenue wise, I don't know why, but this is how it was. When I first started, like that $1 million mark for making the one seven figure, like in a whole year, that was like something that I don't know why. I wanted to get there. It took me 12 years to do that. So show how difficult long my road has been. But now, I guess it's 10 million, right? But honestly, like the goal is just to keep playing. Like I just love the game. So it's like if I'm in business, if I'm playing, like some months have been unprofitable, but if I could just keep playing, and that's why maybe I take care of my health, is because I just love the game so much that if I win or lose, like if I'm playing, then I'm happy.
hmm Do you see yourself removing yourself more from the agency operation to spend more time with family and to vacation more and things like that?
Yeah, because I could see how that has benefited me. And I see you all over the place. And if you could do it, I'm like, yeah, maybe you know, when we could talk about that, maybe off camera, what your experience has been,
hmm
if you don't mind sharing. But I could see myself, but it's just I just go off feel. Like right now, I like working. I like my family vacations with my kids, and maybe in the future, um, it could go either direction. So as long as I'm happy with what I'm doing, right now is a season where I really have to kind of get back to profitability.
Mm.
So that's just goal number one, short-term goal. But I know, all the things that we're doing is gonna build for a bigger agency because the foundation is so wide now.
Yeah.
I feel like I could
Yeah.
really build on top of that, and we have systems in place. So I'm really excited for the future. But yeah, getting to 100 million premium, to 10 million in revenue, and just playing the game. Really, I just want to be in business. Is that if I'm in business and I have another goal, whatever that goal is at that time, I feel like I would be happy.
Yeah. Well, look, man, I've interviewed a lot of agencies, agency owners. I'm friends with a lot of agency owners, and I would agree that you're building one of the strongest foundations. And so, like, I respect you. I acknowledge you for that because I've looked to you. You know, I've whether you realize it or not, like I've ripped pages out of your books. I've consumed your content. I don't consume a lot of people's content. But you, I'm like, oh, damn, you got a video. Like I'll watch it, and just I mean, you can kind of see like I, uh, I, I, I've been trying to add Spanish speakers to my team. I've been trying to add, you know, just more. I've used to have like a team of just football, like a football team of just dudes. I'm like, I want more women on my team. And uh, I've I've certainly learned a lot from you, and you're one of my favorite agency owners. So I hope you know that. And I really do like. I predict you will be like literally one of the top agency owners like in the next 10 to 20 years. I know there's some goats right now, but I think with what you're doing, like you will be there. So, and I mean that. I've never told anybody else that, so it's just my a testament of like how highly I think of you. So, last question, bro, is the definition of A1 is of the highest standards, of the highest qualities. And so I like to ask everybody, I might have asked you in the first one, so I'd be interested to hear if it's changed, but what are three standards that you live your life by?
Yeah, well, before I get there, yeah, thank you for those words, Nick. It means a lot because you're a rising superstar. You could say the same thing about yourself, with your creativity and you shortchange yourself with your work ethic and your drive and your consistency. Just following you too. Like your content is amazing and it has made such an impact. So for you to say that, it means a lot for me. And thank you for sometimes I believe in myself, but it feels good when other people say that. So that meant a lot. Yeah, I think you know A1. It's just about just being a hard worker. To me, I think I just always go back there. It's just I don't know why. It's just it's the number one thing we are able to control. Number two is being nice and kind. I think, yeah, you could be a hard worker or you can do great, but if you're just a jerk or if you're just not taking care of helping anybody, then what's the whole point? So doing a nice, kind way, and then just last thing is attitude. Because it's everything. It could cost us everything if we don't have the right one.
Mm.
And the flip side is that it's so easy to get a good attitude. It's just a decision. So I would just say work ethic, kindness, and attitude. Positive attitude is what defines greatness for me, and that's what I try to strive for. What I try my team to be about. And last time you did ask me that, I remember, and I had a kind of a hard time coming up with it. So that actually conversation we had 2 3 years ago, it helped me kind of like think about what my core values are,
Mm.
and that really helped me get through last year too. So you didn't know when you asked me that question, I didn't like how difficult it was for me to answer
Oh,
that.
really?
Yeah, so I was like, okay, well, let me get this rock solid because that's really important.
Yeah. Somebody flipped the script on me, my buddy, and I answered it like on the fly one time, and I was just like, "That's crazy." I've asked this question to so many people, and I didn't even know what mines were, And so, uh, well, Dan, thank you so much for your time. Thanks for. I mean, it means a lot that I was the first stop in your trip here to Vegas. I hope you have a successful, just conference, and you add a ton of value. You will, undoubtedly. And how can my audience find you and connect with you?
Oh yeah, Dan Kitajima. That's pretty much everything. YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. But yeah, I can't wait to ask you what your three core principles are when you show up on my show next time.
Yeah,
So looking forward to having you on and flipping the script and asking the questions you did for me because there's a lot to learn from you. From what you're doing. So I'm really excited to keep working with you and learning from each other, helping each other, and getting through difficult times, and it's also enjoying the great times in this business.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, brother. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Nick.